And welcome, everybody, to the Huddle, KGUN9 streaming sports weekly talk show. I'm KGUN9 sports director Jason Barr, joined by our main news anchor, Pat Parris. He's done a lot of sports in his day, St. Louis Cardinals, for everything from that to the Tucson Sugar Skulls. Pat, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited about talking about all the work we put into this and the end product, and that being our football special.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a couple things today, Pat. The football special, and then also I think a little bit we're going to spend some time on what's been going on at football stadiums this summer in America. I know you can't wait to talk about that. We'll start with the football special, and the story that you're going to have today. Certainly the football special we're talking about is to preview the Arizona football 2023 season. It's called Desert Fury. It's been dropped on the KGUN9 platforms, which you can find because obviously you found this show. So anyway, this year is the 25th anniversary of the 1998 team, arguably, Pat, the best team in Arizona football history. Would you say that's consensus among people in and around the Wildcat program and fans?
There are a couple other Dick Tomey teams that people say were right up there too. But I think if you're objective about the whole thing and you step back and you say, okay, which team had the most success? 12-1, only losing to UCLA and finishing number 4 in the country. Jason, that's as good as it gets for Arizona football. So I think this is, and it's the 25th anniversary. So we thought, why not take a look back?
I think we've got some video of the team that we can show people.
Yeah, quick soundbite too, I think, right?
Yeah. This team went 12-1, right? One win away. Can you imagine from a national championship and undefeated season? Just that one loss to UCLA. So Pat, you sat down with the captains of the team, and we'll get to a little bit of that. But first off, tell me what made this Arizona football team so good? Was this just the Dick Tomey Desert Swarm defense, or was it a combination of a few things?
It was a combination of it was kind of that era right after the Desert Swarm defense, and I think that they were having success because they had success, as far as getting athletes and continuing to improve and grow as a program. But I think, you cover enough of these teams, Jason, and these special teams, the ones that do so well, there's just some chemistry, there's just some camaraderie, there's just a family feel about it. And I think that's the sense I got. I talked to Calvin Efon, I talked to Scooter Sproat, and I talked to Barrett Baker. So those are the three captains: offensive captain, defensive captain, and special teams captain. And they shared that experience with me, and the Dick Tomey being their father and really being a family is really what it was.
Yeah, and this was the Wildcats, probably the peak, the Dick Tomey era that started, in the early '90s, and it had those strong teams of Teddy Bruschi and some of those other defensive players that did so well. This was the peak of the Dick Tomey era, would you say, and where the Wildcats were probably at its best for some time to come after that?
Yeah, I really think it was the peak, and they know it too. I think they had a feeling as they were playing, and I think that's the sense I got too, Jason, is they knew that this was the best Wildcat team performance. And when they got done with the season, they were both happy and sad because it really was the pinnacle. They reached the peak. They missed it by that much playing in the Rose Bowl. And I talked to, let's listen here. They talked about the legacy of that team now 25 years later.
Obviously, that was a great era, for Wildcat sports, and football. Obviously, we had it all moving in the right direction at that time.
Yeah. What do you think the legacy will be of this '98 team?
Man, that, again, we went out on top. I mean, that we showed that it could be done at Arizona. I know it can be done in Tucson. We've done it before. We were right there on the verge of a national championship berth. And I just feel like that that belief is something that our team could take pride in.
For anyone that was part of that and the fans that supported us that year, I hope that you have pride in that team, because we'll take that to the grave with us, honestly.
Yeah, and Jason, you first guy there was Scooter, then it was Kelvin, and then it was Barrett Baker. A lot of people know Barrett Baker as a fire captain with two sons.
And this is beating Nebraska in the Holiday Bowl, right?
This is them beating Nebraska in the Holiday Bowl.
That was what he meant when he said going out on top.
Yes, they went out on top with that victory to finish 12-1. And I think maybe the testament to this team was the next year they arguably had pretty much the same talent, but they didn't quite reach the same peak. Calvin Ifan was the heart and soul of that offense. And I think guys like Barrett Baker, I think Coach Tomey called them the Jims and the Joes. Barrett Baker, even he'll admit it, he was no all-star. He was no superstar. He was no Calvin Ifan. He was no Trung candidate, who was the star running back. It was a team of running backs there.
First round draft pick, I believe.
Right. And then there were several other terrific players on that team that were NFL players as well. Dennis Northcutt, Chris McAllister, the defensive back, was on that team, but they didn't reach that same level the next year with guys like Ifan and the heart and soul kind of guys like Barrett Baker there. But the bottom line is 12-1. Their only loss to UCLA, and it was a 2-minute and 8-second spurt in the fourth quarter where UCLA just capitalized on all these mistakes by the U of A. They scored 3 touchdowns in 2:08. Otherwise, you're talking about a U of A team that would have potentially, almost certainly, played for the national championship. Instead, UCLA had one last game. They had a makeup game because of a hurricane in Miami. They go down to Miami and they get beat. And it was too bad, because not only did the U of A not get to play in the Rose Bowl, but they ended up, maybe as a number four overall is great, but really not a chance to, because of that loss to UCLA, what would have been, let's put it that way, had they beaten UCLA, but they didn't, and they go 12-1. They did beat ASU. Jason, that was one of the greatest Territorial Cup games ever, that 1998 game. You'll see some of that in the entire version of this story in the sports special. I hope everybody will tune in for that.
Yeah, the version on the 6 o'clock news will be about 3 minutes tonight.
3 minutes.
But 6 minutes on the whole full
and it could have gone 45.
Right.
That's how long the conversation went. These guys are terrific and so well-spoken, and just great memories. We often think of the U of A as being a basketball school and all the great success, but let's not forget that 97 national championship in basketball, then this 98 team that wins the Holiday Bowl. That was a heck of a time to be in Tucson and to be a U of A fan.
And the softball team doing its thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one of the sound bites we heard in that, Pat, was, we know it can be done because it's been done before. Is that really true, though? Hasn't college football changed so much that something that happened back in the 90s maybe can't happen today? Or maybe now there's more of a chance it can happen with this move to the Big 12. Well, what do you think of that comment of, it can happen before, it can happen again?
I think it can happen again, and I think what they're saying is, yes, everything has to come together. The U of A has never been a perennial power in football. Maybe they never will be. Let's hope they are, but maybe they never will be. But when you have just that right mix, and you've got the coach, and you've got these upper class players that are very talented, lots of guys that went to the NFL off that team, they can all come together. Jason, I look no further than TCU last year playing in the national championship game. Yeah, they got trounced. There's no doubt Georgia's the best team in the country right now, but at least TCU showed what you can do in the Big 12. I think U of A goes into the Big 12 and competes right away, and at least holds their own in the Big 12 in football. And you never know, if Jedd Fisch sticks around a while and they continue to have success, maybe they have one of these kind of memorable
seasons. Look at you! If Jedd Fisch sticks around a while, now who's coming around?
It's got to go well. The only reason he sticks around is if they keep winning, and start winning. They got to start to win.
It's going to happen. By the way, a player from that Georgia team, Bill Norton, is a defensive lineman on this Arizona team. he's one of the features. You talk about Tucson. You just mentioned earlier Tucson being a basketball town. You know what, Pat? I only think that's because of what Lute Olson did. If Lute Olson was a football coach, they would have become a football town.
Well, if
Tucson
they'd
is
had
a cycling and triathlon town more than
yeah.
anything. They're a basketball town because of the success of the Wildcat team. They'd be a football team if it was the football team that was doing as well over the year. Don't you think so?
Yes, but you've also continued to, not only a top 25, but you've been a top 10 team first under Sean Miller. After Lute, you go, eventually you go Sean Miller, then you go now with Tommy Lloyd. If they weren't still a top 10 team, I don't know, it's like anything. You got to keep winning or you kind of lose interest.
All right, so some of the other features we have on this U of A football special, I mentioned a feature on Bill Norton. I did one on Traden Stukes. Another colleague of mine did one on Justin Flo, linebacker transfer from Oregon.
Giuliano,
We've got one on Jordan Morgan and him and Jonah 7A, Big Jonah on the offensive line. The one I did on the team chef is on there. Good. There's yours and some shorter stories along the way, like on the wide receivers and whether Tedero McMillan can make a big jump in his sophomore year. He led the Pac-12 in yards per catch at 18. Right. He didn't have that many yards because at times he was the third or fourth option, right? When you had Jacob Cowing and Dorian Singer and Tanner McLaughlin, they got to get T-Mac the ball. I think he's going to be more of a focal point this year. And if you look at how Gronkowski's numbers went from freshman to sophomore year, tight end, I think you can see that improvement with McMillan, who really looks the part, and he looks bigger and stronger this year. He's my favorite player on the team. I'm looking for them to get T-Mac the ball often and early this year.
Well, to me, he's the guy with the most upside, and obviously comes in with a great pedigree out of high school as being, one of the best receivers in high school football. And you're right, they just couldn't get him the ball. There wasn't enough time to get him enough footballs to get his number of catches and yards up, but yards per catch was obviously outstanding. So
18, I believe. Yeah. And another theme of the team this year is the size on defense. And that's something that Bill Norton said. He said, we've got some huge dudes. And Jed Fish said 25 players over 300 pounds. And then he talked about how much the players had gotten bigger in the offseason conditioning program. And he compared it to 900 something pounds, which is one saltwater crocodile, if that's how much a crocodile weighs. That was one of his comments at Media Day. So a theme for the team is the size. Pat, I'll never forget my first year here. It was 2012, right? Their first home game was against Toledo. I remember Toledo running out into the field. And then I remember the next week, Oklahoma State running out to the field. And the because in the NFL, every team is the same size. In smaller college football, every team is the same size. I didn't realize there was such a discrepancy in Division I college football on the size of these teams. But Oklahoma State looked much different running out the tunnel than Toledo did.
Yeah, well, Oklahoma State is a pretty good football program. Don't forget.
Who they'll be seeing in the Big 12.
We're going to be seeing them a lot.
A bigger team, a revamped defense, a healthy offensive line with Jordan Morgan, a lot of weapons returning on offense, and I think we'll do the predictions next Tuesday for how many wins, but I'm around 7, might even be leaning towards 8. It's possible they can get off to a great start when you look at that schedule. We'll get to that next week, though.
Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm looking forward to it because I think clearly the offense is ahead of the defense. They've been that way since Jed Fish got here, but I think the defense is closing the gap. The key will be how much they can close that gap. In other words, if the offensive talent levels here and the defense has been out of the screen for a little while, and can it come back up somewhere here where they can get, as you said, 7 wins, 8 wins, a bowl game and a bowl win. We'll see.
Yeah, the defense was good in that 1-11 year. The offense was just awful.
Yeah, you're right.
And it flip-flopped this year. All right, so I thought we'd have a little fun with the remaining time here and talk about something that we don't normally talk about that much. And we stick to sports. We're not going into politics. Don't worry. We're not going to get ourselves in trouble in that way. But, at football stadiums this summer and other big venues, it's been very, very, very loud. And it's been loud because of this incredible Taylor Swift concert and the Eras Tour that's been going on. And Pat, I never thought we would see a pop star maybe as big as Madonna or Michael Jackson. And, here we have somebody who was just filling every single show and people going crazy for these concerts, getting there and then inside. I thought we'd have a little fun with a little bit of debate, but first, your thought on the Taylor Swift Eras Tour. I know maybe it's not your demo. You don't have a kid maybe in this demo, but your thought on what you've seen this summer online or elsewhere with Taylor Swift.
Yeah, you're probably right. Even my kids are grown up now, and they're a little bit. I mean, when she first started, they were listening to. I don't even know if they still listen to Taylor Swift, and I certainly don't pay a lot of attention, but I pay enough of attention to know that you said Madonna, and I'm going to say she's bigger than Madonna now. And
we can have that little debate. That's a fun debate. Okay.
And I think that she has.
That's Pat's co-anchor, my co-anchor too. I'm the co-anchor with Pat.
Come on up, Heidi. Come on up.
Yeah,
put you
Heidi,
on.
Heidi's downstairs.
Yeah,
Heidi, you can sit if you are more than welcome to come up in either me or Pat's area. Yeah. You may not even know which one is which. We'll share the microphone. Go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, well, I think that you read all these numbers and the $2.2 billion that's going to gross, this tour is going to gross, and you're thinking, I don't think we've ever clearly we've never seen that kind of number before, because it's going to be a record. So I think you can say that she is a phenomenon that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And you never would have 5 years ago, she was big and you're thinking that's great. And all the kids love her. And now she's just gigantic. It's just huge.
Yeah. Okay. So we can have a little fun with that. A lot of times sports is about debates and sports talk radio. And one thing that we're not going to debate that's been debated ad nauseum is who's a better basketball player, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. Oh my goodness. If I ever hear that, I get so tired of hearing that. But I thought we could have a little fun and just kind of talk about, there's no right or wrong. We're not going to get upset or emotional about this. Who's a bigger star at the peak of their career? Taylor Swift now or Madonna in the 80s? You could really make a strong case for either one. I'll start a little bit here with Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has been a star since she was 16, is still a star today, maybe a couple years in country, 15 in pop, and just keep going up and up and up. And the amount of hits that she has, I think she sings 44 songs at her concert, right? 44. Yes. You've got people flying all over the place to go to the show, dropping incredible amounts of money, screaming at the top of their lungs, so much so that at Seattle, it caused a 2.3 earthquake.
Magnitude
earthquake with people singing to Shake It Off. It caused an earthquake. And the joy that she's bringing to people is just unmatched. So there's a little bit of a case for Taylor Swift. I'll let you chime in here. I'm going to make a little bit of a case for Madonna. Which could be the bigger one. We'll get to that. Go ahead.
Well, you stole a little bit of my thunder, not with the earthquake. I knew you were going to come at me with the earthquake. And, of course, in my generation, Madonna was it. I mean, Madonna was the one that set the bar. But I think, I've got to be honest. I think Taylor Swift's blown that bar away. She's leaped right over the top of that bar, and she moved it up so high. I don't know if we'll ever see anything like this again. And I think my argument to you, when you and I were just kind of planning this out and talking about, is this a worthy debate, is that, Taylor Swift is doing it in an era where social media is everything. And Madonna didn't have that. So to me, it's not much of a comparison. I think put Madonna at her pinnacle of her career right now, and with all the social media and the followers, it might mirror it. It might be very similar, but we'll never know. So I don't think there's even any question in my mind that because of the social media aspect of this, it has made Taylor Swift into a worldwide phenomenon. Again, I'll say that. And who else? I'm not so sure Madonna, when it's pouring down rain and storming, plays 4 hours of a concert through that rain. Did you see Bill Belichick?
Unbelievable what she does.
The Patriots head coach, he even gave her kudos, I think, yesterday, saying how she played through that pouring rain. And he'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen anything like that.
I was going to do a couple stand-ups outside. It was about to rain. I'm like, how can I possibly complain? And I like the clips in the concerts where there's a little bit of a mistake and how she handles it. Mistake. What a pro. Okay, so here's the case for Madonna. And so we got a couple comments here. Madonna was never family friendly. Well, we'll get to that. I'll touch on that because it has to do with the kind of the iconic moment at each concert. Here's the case for Madonna. Madonna shaped an entire decade. I mean, she comes out with a Borderline video. Now girls want to dress like her. Her Material Girl song was the song that defined the whole 1980s decade. And Madonna's songs were so much more impactful. Okay. Taylor Swift's hit is We're Never Ever Getting Back Together Again. Okay. Madonna's singing Papa Don't Preach. That's on the nightly news. Madonna's songs were much bigger. Plus, Madonna was so big that Madonna was a movie star. Now, some of the movies did better than others. Who's That Girl didn't do very well. Somewhere in the middle, Desperately Seeking Susan. And then the big one was A League of Their Own, probably more due to Tom Hanks, and the topic.
And
But Madonna was in movies.
Yeah.
So Madonna was really kind of bigger in how big her songs were, the debate they sparked, and that she was also a movie star at the same time. Now, maybe, who knows? Maybe Taylor Swift will be the next Barbie. You know, Margot Robbie was that. Maybe she didn't even want to be that, right? But that's really, I think, the case for Madonna. Was you can't fault her for not having social media, and her songs were bigger and more impactful.
Yeah, I agree totally with what you're saying there, and she did define a generation, or at least a decade, and was at the time she was so much bigger. With, you're right, the songs were more I don't know, they were deeper, they were a little bit more meaningful, more impactful. But
well, we can talk about the sex aspect and make you uncomfortable, Pat. I mean,
well,
you look, obviously her big song was Like a Virgin, and you take a look at Taylor Swift's iconic moment in the concert, and it's the bridge to Cruel Summer, and Madonna's humping the floor. So we got two different people, right? So
definitely two different people. Some would say she's not family friendly. I get it. But I think she got it. I really do think that in towards the end of her traditional career, Madonna, she got past all of that, and people really respected her as an artist, and still do, obviously. But I just think that the entire body of work for now, as you said, 15 plus years, for Taylor Swift, she's reached a height that I don't think any of us could ever see happening, to not only sell out these concerts, and usually it's multiple nights, or at least a couple nights at all these major venues. And I just, $2.2 billion, Jason, that is an astronomical number. She, what is she doing to these cities when she comes in? She's boosting the economy.
That's right. She's having an impact on inflation because of the hotel rooms and people flying.
There might be that too, but there's also, you jack up the cost of the hotel and the restaurants and everything else, and you're making a lot of money.
The ticket prices.
Yep. Good luck getting a ticket. Half the time you can't even get one.
So I think the American part of the tour is over. I think now she goes overseas, and she's going to come back next year, and she's added some shows. So we'll see what's happened. So anyway, we don't plan to talk about a little bit, next week, right? We're going to be talking more Arizona football when we get to the season. I don't want people to think we're going to be doing this here, but I just thought, oh my goodness, this has become so big. It just kind of be a fun little discussion and debate to have to finish it off here with.
So we're not talking Michael Jordan and LeBron James.
Do you want to give an opinion on that?
No, I'm so tired of that argument.
Me too. That's how I feel.
I was in total agreement with you on that. I'm so tired of that argument. It's Michael Jordan will always be mine.
I thought Steve Kerr had the best answer when somebody said that the 80s teams would beat his Warriors teams. You know what Steve Kerr's answer was? Great answer. He said, yeah, and the 50 teams in the 50s would smoke the teams in the 80s, right? Yeah. Perfect answer. Because one, it's, it shows how absurd it is that those 80s teams would beat the Warriors. Look, a great team is a great team, and a great player is a great player. The whole Dennis Rodman then put up the whole debate when he said Larry Bird would be playing in Europe. And then I thought Dan Patrick had a good comment that Larry Bird would be even better today because of the impact of the 3-point shot and everything that he did. Those passing skills would go in any type of era. So sometimes those are fun debates to have with era.
They're fun debates, but they're unprovable. That's the
no.
And
Yeah.
so was this one, but at least we had some fun with it.
Yeah, no, and I really don't have a super strong opinion on one side or the other. You don't either. I just thought it would be fun to kind of put it into context here. So anyway, hope the viewers had some fun with that.
And I'm disappointed that Heidi never made it up here.
Yeah, we would have loved to
been
have
able
her
to add a
opinion
lot
on it.
more to
Did she
this
give
than
a?
Nora.
Yeah, I asked a couple people in the newsroom, and I think sometimes it might have to do with how, what era you live in and all that. There might be a little nostalgia back, and that's totally fair. People comparing Taylor Swift to the Beatles also as well because of the mania that surrounded them. I don't think she can go anywhere anymore in public or anything like that. So very interesting. And I talked about the impact of the song. She is doing serious songs too, and singing a little bit about mental health and other things. It's not just we're never ever getting back together. So it's more than that.
But there are a lot of songs about breaking up with boyfriends.
Yes, that's true.
The
All right.
exes and yeah.
All right, we did this effectively without getting ourselves into trouble, I think. So that was good. And we'll next week we'll be back and we'll give a prediction for Arizona football win total and talk some other things sports. So Pat, unless you've got a final word.
No, I would really encourage people to take
watch Pat's story. Yeah.
To
watch Pat's story.
Watch the sports special. It's the easiest way to find it, Jason. Just go right to the KGUN web, kgun9.com. Go on the sports section, and it pops up right away, and it starts rolling for you. You don't have to worry about OTT and the streaming services. That's the easiest way to find it.
Fantastic. Pat, I can't wait to see the whole version and the shorter version today at 6:00, but the whole version, like you said. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching, viewing live, on delay, however you see it or watch it on the Huddle, or our streaming sports talk show that we come to you each week. For Pat Parris, I'm Jason Barr. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week at this time.